All right, Rob, you're going to show us Allowlisting and Ringfencing, which is something quite unique to ThreatLocker, correct?
Yes, it is. Trademarked, I think.
Yes, the ringfencing specifically, right?
Yeah, TM in brackets.
First of all, explain what it is. What are these things?
So they're both part of application control. So what some people consider application control to be is basically just what can run and what can't run. And that's Allowlisting. That is not the whole picture. So ring fencing is about what things can do when they're running. It's akin to application containerization. It's about stopping effectively good or otherwise permitted things from being weaponized and used against you.
Right. And this is, by the way, I would say is core to sort of the philosophy around ThreatLocker, in that just because you allow an application to run, you don't want it to run wild. And I guess that's the point of ring fencing. Yes.
In fact, I couldn't have put it better myself, David. Let things run, don't let them run wild would be a really great way of describing it.
Mm-hmm.
Fundamentally, it's what we do differently to a lot of other tools is we don't just stop with the what can run and what can't run. We take that deny by default concept and we expand it. We use it in different areas like ring fencing, for example, or network control, which we're going to speak about, storage control, lots of other different areas. So it's that core philosophy of deny by default, but expanded on in different areas.
All right. Walk us through it. What are we seeing here?
Cool. So anybody who's ever tried to implement Allowlisting probably think it's a heavy lift. They probably think it's a struggle. It's difficult. It's hard work. It doesn't have to be, and it's not with ThreatLocker. So first of all, when you deploy an agent, it's not secured immediately. So it's not going to straight away start blocking things. It's going to be deployed in what we call learning mode. And learning mode is very much the heavy lifting taken out of it, because fundamentally we're going to see everything that runs in your machines. We log everything, every read, write, copy, move, execute, DLL, script, anything that runs basically on the machine is going to be logged and stored here. But during that learning mode, we're going to take that information, that data, and we're going to create a set of policies automatically. So you don't need to figure out all of the software that's in use on all of your computers. We're going to see all of that software on your computers, and we're going to create policies to allow that to continue to run once the ThreatLocker has been enabled.
So now I'm seeing this very first one. I see cute writer .exe deny. How does it know to deny that?
Because it's not on an approved list. So it's deny by default, permit by exception. So anything that is not explicitly allowed, and I didn't and don't have a policy to allow cute writer to run, anything that's not explicitly allowed, including malware, including ransomware, but also including otherwise weaponizable good tools, things like AnyDesk is a remote access tool of choice of ransomware gangs. So why would you allow AnyDesk to run on all your machines? Or Orclone is often used for data exfiltration. Why let Orclone run on your machines? Or TeamViewer or WinRAR has all of the characteristics of ransomware. It can encrypt data, it can delete data, and it can transfer data. I mean, that's all you need as a bad actor. So why would you let something like that run on all of your computers? So yeah, we're going to see all those things running, and we're going to create a set of policies automatically. Other big thing this gives you, it's a great place to start, is visibility. So what is in my environment? So I've got a policy here for 7-zip, so it tells me 7-zip is in my environment. We do also have a health report or software health report that'll give you lots of information. In fact, I might as well just show you that really quickly. Yeah, so this is a software health report. It basically gives you general information about the state of your environment, but also shows you information about things like applications where code is compiled. I mean, the likes of 7-zip, for example, 7-zip is compiled, the code is compiled in Russia. I mean, does that matter to an organization? Does it not? I mean, it might. Probably is something that should be sort of taken into consideration, but we also give areas recommended. So like browser extensions, for example, most people don't really consider browser extensions, but they are potentially very dangerous. There's a lot of malicious extensions out there. Things like VPN tools. So I've got a VPN tool in my environment. If I had remote access tools, which apparently I do in my environment, this will tell you as well. So it's quite useful to be able to see that in one page. This is all the things that I need to concern myself with. But as I said, during that learning process, we're going to create a set of policies automatically. Now, we do have some default policies that will get pushed to basically any new deployment. So these are more about, and you'll see the ring fencing here in a lot of cases, more about controlling things that can run or allowing certain things to run.
I see things are noted that they're... Okay, what's the difference between built-in and ring-fenced here?
So built-in is really important. So this is the second part of how we take the heavy lifting out of Allowlisting. So anybody who, as I said, has ever tried to implement this knows that problem number one is figuring out everything that's needed, creating all the policies you need. Problem number two is what happens when software updates. And generally what happens when software updates is it breaks, because your allow listing tool will say, look, I know that file is called notepad++.exe, but it doesn't match my notepad++.exe, so I'm not going to let it run. So the way we solved that problem was with these built-in applications, which is basically a database of over 8,000 common applications that we maintain definitions for. So basically every file, Notepad++, every time a new update for Notepad++, our applications team who work 24/7, 365, they're based here in the office in Orlando in Florida, they catalog that application. They basically get all the new hashes, they add them to the built-in, and it gets pushed down to people automatically.
Oh, so everybody's software is being checked against your database. All the updates are being checked against your database.
We are cataloging all of those pieces of software.
So the built-in means it's in your database and we've confirmed it.
Correct. So basically our guys test it, they make sure it's okay, they add it to the definition and get pushed out. It gets pushed down to people's machines automatically.
Something is ring fences, you're not sure, so that's why you're putting the ring fence around it.
Something that's ring fenced is something typically, and again, these are just our default policies we're looking at here, but the default policies are about controlling and minimizing the risk for commonly used applications. So again, things like robocopy and Xcopy, you don't want them to be able to use to exfiltrate data. Things like Teams. I mean, Teams needs to run, but Teams doesn't need to be able to call PowerShell or Command Prompt or Task Scheduler or Run DLL or any of those weaponizable Windows components.
So it's limiting the capability of the tool.
Exactly.
Not what I said before, but limiting the capability of it.
Example, Office will be a great example. So very often the first stage of a lot of ransomware attacks is something like Office called something like PowerShell. You click on the link and then next minute PowerShell is open and bad things are happening. With this, what we're saying with Office is, look, Office can run. We don't mind Office running, but we don't want Office to be able to interact with Command Prompt or C Script or Reg Server 4 files or Run DLL or PowerShell or any of those weaponizable components.
Like, for example, this is a perfect example. Do you provide some kind of suggested advice or suggested setup for Office? Because I wouldn't know to necessarily put all of those exceptions.
That's exactly what this is. So this is a default policy. Every new environment gets a set of 30 or 40 default policies with them. You can tweak them, you can adjust them, you can amend them, you can do whatever you want with them, but every new environment will get these.
Given the environments we've seen, we know that this is probably the way you want to set it up.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We do also have a list of suggested policies. So things that we suggest that people could also apply to their environment. So again, things like any of these really, you can see there's a big long list of them here. We also have Microsoft recommended ones. So these are the things that Microsoft recommend to basically harden an environment. So blocking things like WSL and .NET and WSIP and C Script and all those.
Let me ask the obvious question somebody would ask is, okay, sometimes you tighten the screws a little too much. Someone gets upset. Wait, I wanted this happening. How does that get alerted, managed, and allowed in something that's supposed to be legitimate?
Okay. Well, this is a good example. So I've just downloaded this piece of software. I want to run it in my machine. One of the things we added quite recently, which is really useful, is a list of available applications. So this is something that organizations can kind of publish to their users to say, look, this is all the software that's allowed in your environment. As you can see, it's categorized. So I can see that QPDF Writer and Ghostproof for Windows are both permitted. I can go here and I can basically see all of the software that this environment is saying, all of this stuff is cool. You can run this, you can download it. We have download links, all sorts of stuff. So when I click on that, brings me directly to a download link. So it's effectively like a publish store, a user app store of all of the things that somebody might want to use.
This is a safe store, if you will.
Correct. So it's all stuff that we've permitted. We've got policies for. It's vetted. It's allowed. No problem. You can use all of these things. So as I said, that's really useful from a user perspective because you're not just randomly trying to run stuff. It all gets blocked and you go, this is all too much hard work. I don't know what I can run. With this, you can literally see everything that's allowed, categorized appropriately. But again, if somebody tries to run something, and there we go. So if they're trying to run something that's not allowed, as well as being able to view.
You get that request access button.
Correct. So I want to run this. I click on the request access button. This is something, again, we've recently added, which is really useful. So it gives you information about the software. So QWriter, it knows it's QWriter. It knows it's PDF software. If executed, it can have access to all of these different things, which is where ring fencing comes into it. But as a user, I can basically say, I want to run this. Okay?
And then give a reason for it. Yeah.
You give a reason, maybe not give a reason. then the administrator, so the person that's managing the environment, basically gets a chance now to make an educated decision about whether or not this thing should be allowed to run. So here's our request. Excuse me, when I click on the request, I can see all the information about the file. So I can see, look, it's a signed file, it's signed by these guys. I can see the reason the person has given me. I can see who the person is. I can see what machine it is, etc. I can use, and again, I did mention we've got these built-in applications, so I can use the built-in application if I want. That makes things much easier because I never need to worry about updates in the future. Another thing we added recently, relatively recently, everything is recent really, is the testing environment. So basically it is a sandbox. It's a VDI where people can run software, basically detonate things, make sure it's okay. So I'm going to run this Qt PDF writer or Qt writer. So I'm basically installing this completely separately to my own environment, completely separately to the user's machine, basically just see how it behaves, see if it's okay. You'll notice we've got a traffic light system across the top. So if anything, and there we go, something popped up, virus total. Now, big grain of salt with virus total. Not all AVs are equally good. Some of them think everything is malware. So in this case, Tetris, whatever that is, thinks that this setup file is malware. Again, I'm not really going to pay much attention to that because it's not one of the recognizable AV vendors. But now, once I've captured this application, I can basically call it whatever I want. What? And I can capture that application. So that's basically cataloging all of those files, everything as part of that installation, all the DLLs, executables, everything to do with that application has now been captured. It's been added to an application definition, and I can now decide what I want to do with it. So I'm going to use our Qt writer definition. I'm going to permit it. I'm going to permit it for the group. So basically, if this person in this group can use this piece of software, then everybody can. I could do it for the entire organization. So everybody, all machines in the organization need to run this. And then I have an option. We'll get on to elevation later, but I can also ring fence it at this point as well. So I can stop it from using or stop it from misbehaving.
So you want to show us two more things with ring fencing, yes?
Yeah, just two other ways it can be used that are very valuable. As I said, controlling application interaction. I just want to show you what that looks like, basically. We've got basically call it a typical phishing email. So as you can see, I've got a link. Normal user would just look at that and go, oh, I better click on that. If you hover over, obviously you can see in this case, it's actually going to try and open PowerShell. So that's not something that you really want to be able to happen, but something that Microsoft, in their infinite knowledge and wisdom, have made possible. Office can call PowerShell. So if I click on this link, you get yes, you get yes. Most users will see that and go, we're getting warnings all the time from Microsoft, so I'm just going to click OK.
Yeah, I just got to get through.
Exactly. But as you can see, we've actually stepped in, we've blocked that interaction, we've stopped Office from being able to talk to PowerShell.
This is a classic problem we talk about. Don't bring your business down to your knees just because someone clicked on a link.
Absolutely, and this is why and how it happens. Just to mention and get into a little bit more detail about ring fencing, and this is probably an even better example. So application interaction is important, but also what things can do. So what data applications have access to, what internet locations things have access to. So this particular command, it's a PowerShell command that basically will exfiltrate data from my documents folder to this Google location. So normal circumstances, you run that, it copies all your files, next minute they're all gone. I mean, that is what data exfiltration looks like. It's really, really simple, and it happens so fast you probably wouldn't even notice. But what we've done in this case is we've actually blocked that from happening. So we've stopped, as you can see, all of my files from being exfiltrated. So we've said, look, PowerShell doesn't need to access your files. It doesn't need to access your documents folder. It doesn't need to access the entire internet. So by stopping it from accessing my documents and the entire internet, we've just stopped that data exfiltration in its tracks.
Very cool. All right. Well, if you want to learn more about stopping exfiltration, allow listing, ring fencing, and doing it with ThreatLocker, because it's pretty darn impressive, go to their website. That is ThreatLocker.com. Go check them out.